Hey, thanks for clicking on my video. This is Rocky, and this review will be for episode 7 of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Now, this episode was very much centered on Ward, as well as Coulson, and also some extra information on the TAHITI experiment. So I'm going to go ahead and start with information and the parts we had on Ward in this episode. So, just to recall back to episode 1 of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Ward's operative skills were basically compared to Black Widow as being, essentially just beneath her. So he's a highly skilled agent, right? So he's been on the run from S.H.I.E.L.D. and the FBI and, pretty much everyone else. And he's located one of his drop boxes where he has passports, money, everything he's going to need to essentially survive. Now our S.H.I.E.L.D. team has been on to him, and he automatically notices that they're there. And he spots Triplet and basically, opens the side of his jacket, showing that he's got, explosives all around him. Very casual, never makes eye contact with them. But, he knows he's there. So, he's that well trained. He notices that much. So from there, we transition to, he's walking along, looking for a bus and sees Bobby. Not 100% sure at that point if she's, an agent or not. So he basically talks to a mother and child, helps them with their bag and things like that. And during that whole time, he's watching her to see. He doesn't make eye contact with her, but he's noticing everything around him. So then they get on the bus, and, he sits down right next to Bobby and says, basically, you almost had me fooled, but you're on the same page you were on before, kind of thing. So he just notices all that information, that quickly. So then it's up to our buddy Hunter to try and keep track of him. And, it's not exactly stated for sure whether he noticed Hunter or not. More than likely he probably did, just with how skilled Ward is. But this leads our team to a bar. And essentially at this point, what Ward's done is contacted Hydra and went to one of their, safe houses, more or less. And we end up seeing, Mr. Bakshi, Daniel Whitehall's right-hand man, show up with some Hydra agents. And, Ward's basically like, hey, I need to see Whitehall or whoever's in charge. I can make an arrangement to have a face-to-face with Coulson, basically. So, Bakshi cannot turn that down, right? So, in the time it takes for our S.H.I.E.L.D. agents to show up, Ward has taken out the bartender, the Hydra agents, subdued Bakshi, and tied him to a chair in a very short amount of time, as well as completely disappeared. So basically he's left Bakshi as a gift for Coulson and the S.H.I.E.L.D. agents. And we get a nice little scene towards the end where Bakshi's phone rings, right? And of course Skye picks it up, and her wonderful "Hail Hydra," was just very comical. I definitely laughed over that one. Hope you guys did too. But it's Ward on the other line. He's basically saying, hey, I'm going to keep my promise. He's always going back to that with hers. He's stated he's never lied to her, and, he's always going to tell her the truth, and he's going to keep his promise to basically reunite her with her father. So that gets left on basically the cliffhanger after he shaves and everything and cleans himself up. It leaves on a cliffhanger that basically looks like he's going after his brother. I don't think it's going to be for a nice family chat. But, we'll see what happens later on. So that's kind of what happened with Ward in this episode. So we're seeing his story develop now. As, the first quite few episodes of the season, he's kind of just been there for questioning and, not much else. So we're seeing some development in him, and that'll carry on to the, rest of the season, especially in the later half of it. Now, as far as Coulson, what we got in this is Coulson actually put himself through the memory machine back from when Raina had used it before on Garrett's orders to try and find out, how Coulson basically came back to life, right? So he goes into this machine, much to the chagrin of, everyone else, including Mac. Mac's just kind of horrified by everything going on right now. But there's just a connection between the agent, that the woman that was killed, that Coulson recognizes as an agent, but there's no documentation on her. So through this memory machine and these flashbacks, we find out that Coulson and Skye were not the only people to receive this GH drug. At Tahiti, they were actually experimenting on quite a few other S.H.I.E.L.D. agents. I believe it was like 6 in total. And, immediately they were all, recovered from whatever injuries or sicknesses they had. But then they were slowly starting to fall into madness. And particularly in regards to the alien language and repeatedly writing it. Except for one man. One man seemed like he was still pretty sane compared to the others. But it turns out what happened is he was basically scarring himself. And through that, he was basically keeping his focus and everything. So he was trying to remember where the writing came from, everything like that. And this is actually the guy that we saw in the last episode getting the alien writing tattooed over his body. See, I knew they were going to connect it up to something and not just leave us hanging on that. So this guy, this man, has basically been tracking down the other people because he's been able to remember them because of this pain he's inflicting on himself by way of the tattoos and, self-scarification. So he, Coulson basically goes on his own, traps Skye within a cell, and goes after this last person, as he knows this killer's going after him as well. And, at this point, Coulson is getting pretty crazy as well, because he's wanting to know the answer to the question, what is this language? What is this map? What's going on? And, through their fight, Coulson comes to the realization that it's not just like a one-dimensional, overview. It's meant to be seen as layered. So once he sees that, he shows it to this guy that's been killing, they instantly, snap out of this insanity as they no longer feel the need. It's basically expressed later as that Coulson akin to being like a homing pigeon, and they couldn't find their way home. So it was driving them, mentally crazy just trying to find that answer. So it's a piece of the genetic memory of the blue alien body, more than likely a Kree. It's, definitely been confirmed previously there was a Kree, but, you never know when they may go back on something like that. But pretty much it was just this Kree genetic memory that was being passed on through the blood within the GH drug. So Coulson comes to this realization that, it's this map, and he finally lets the entire team know basically what's been going on up to this point. And he lets them know, hey, Hydra's after this as well, and they have the diviner. Now, at this point, it definitely almost completely confirms that we're going Inhumans within the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., which is awesome. Like I said, it's going to be a way for them to kind of explain people with powers, since they can't use the X gene or mutants or anything like that. Now, a lot of debate online is that this map is actually to the Inhuman city itself, capital of Attilan. Now, I'm kind of disagreeing with that at this point, because the actual Inhumans movie, right, isn't slated to come out until November 2nd, 2018. So that's quite a few years off, so I doubt we're going to get that immediate, into Attilan right now. That's something I think they're going to save for the actual movie. My guess is that this is actually a map of the original research area where the Kree were actually genetically experimenting on humans in order to create Inhumans. So that's my guess on this is going to lead our team to, that initial research point where they're going to find all this evidence of, genetic manipulation and things like that. And this is where we might actually see, the Terrigen Mist and have it, affect Skye or, anyone else that may be, genetically an Inhuman, like Reyna more than likely is as well. Now it seems like, they're definitely going to need to get a hold of this diviner, because it's either going to be, the key to finding the city or research center, as well as possibly the only way of getting in. And it definitely seems that it's able to test someone on a genetic level, as at this point it seems like it's only technically killed people that were probably basic humans, people that had some type of enhanced or mutated gene seems to be living. Because remember, the absorbing man, Carl Krill, touched it and didn't die. He absorbed some of its powers and could take on its properties, but it didn't kill him. I mean, it was threatening to kill him towards the end of that episode because it was overpowering him, but he was still able to live. Raina was able to touch it, and she's already basically stated she feels like she's something different. So we got, like I said, it's definitely at this point, it seems like they're going to go ahead and go full Inhumans within Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., which, I'm perfectly fine with. And what this is also going to mean is, like, one of my complaints with this season so far is there hasn't been a lot of information or, pushing on of Skye's storyline other than a little bit with her father and things like that. And I think they've been saving that for the second half of the season. Because right now we're looking at probably another 2 episodes, and then we're going to hit the mid-season break. And that's the point that Agent Carter's going to pick up and make its little run until Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. picks back up. So it's going to be in the same time slot. So we're going to have that, smooth transition there. But yeah, I think the second half of the season is basically going to be the search for this city, and we're going to see a lot more development on Skye's storyline and her father's storyline, and definitely probably get some more information on Whitehall as well. So it was a really great episode. It was nice seeing the advancement in Ward's story and just kind of seeing how skilled that man is. I mean, he is scary, skilled. So, and seeing Coulson's evolution, seeing him, kind of get out of that madness and get back on track. But, finally opening up to the team and letting them know what's been going on, and what their basically overall mission right now is to find this city. So they'll definitely be, hitting the ground running, trying to get as much information as they can, as well as to track down the diviner. So it was a really great episode. Probably the best writing we've had so far. And it was nice seeing, some of the closures and, finally getting kind of a wrap up to that alien language, at least to some extent. So let me know in the comments below. Did you guys enjoy this episode of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.? If you have any questions about anything in the episode, or, anything having to do with the Inhumans or any of the other characters, definitely put that in the comments below as well. I'll be more than happy to go over that information with you as best I can. If you enjoyed my video, I'd ask you to go ahead and give me a thumbs up and share the video. And please subscribe to my channel, as I will be doing weekly reviews of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., as well as the other Marvel and DC television shows that will be going on. That being said, I hope you all have a great rest of your day. Bye.